Harry has no filter, which is always the great thing about him and the terrible thing about him at the same time.
Yes, it was always refreshing, wasn't it, when things were going well. But of course now, and when you're on the other side and you're in a war with your family, that stream of consciousness, that lack of filter, has proved disastrous for family relations.
So can the king trust him? I mean, this is an offer of friendship. Should the king, if he doesn't have this filter and he has been guilty of lobbing insults and revealing secrets about the family in the past, should he accept this offer of friendship?
Well,
I mean, I think that Harry is not Machiavellian. He's not. He hasn't got a plan. He doesn't want to betray. He doesn't want to betray his father. Yes, he betrayed all those secrets because he wanted to let things out in the Netflix documentary and in his book Spare. But I think Charles is primarily in this situation. Charles is a father rather than a monarch, and I think that's very important. And he would like. I think it causes Charles immense pain. There's this huge rift in his family, and he said as much. He doesn't want them to make his last years misery. So I think Charles will both want to explore this potential reconciliation, if that's what it is, and I think he's perfectly right to do so.
Do you think we haven't spoken about Meghan yet? The other half of the Montecito twosome. I mean, do you think that she could have a hand in this? Do you think she would be persuading Harry? Is there anything for Meghan to get Harry back on better terms with the royal family, particularly the king?
I mean, Meghan is someone with a game plan, isn't she?
Yes.
And nothing happens by accident. And I think Harry relies on Meghan for a lot of guidance through life, particularly now that he doesn't have everybody else around him to steer him. But Meghan's got her own plan now, and Meghan's got her own business, as ever, and her series with Love Meghan, which is coming back for a second series. She's got her plan. What is Harry's? And I think he does look lost, and he does look isolated in Montecito, away from his family. And his father's health is certainly a big wake-up call. But I think for these talks to happen, keeping it to the aides at this stage, and then Harry to speak to his father one-on-one will be really important, because there's a big trust issue here as to what they say in those meetings and where that ends up.
So do we think a one-on-one could now happen? And what do you think would be discussed if they went ahead?
Oh, to be a fly on the wall.
I mean, there's so much to discuss. Okay. I'm not sure even where to begin.
I'd have to book out a whole week.
I mean,
I would say, not a one-day summit.
How are you, Dad?
Yeah. Yes.
Because, he really doesn't know how his father is doing.
But I think any reconciliation still ends up with Harry and Meghan and their family living in California, and I think that's fine.
Yeah. There's no coming back to doing any royal duties. That's not on the table.
Yeah.
Do you see it, though, Matt, that there's no coming back to do any royal duties? Or could we end up in a scenario which is closer, actually, to what Harry and Meghan wanted in the first place, where they are living in Montecito, but they can come back for the big events. They can come back for some of the charitable endeavours that they're involved
It wasn't long ago that he was able to come back to Platinum Jubilee, and it wasn't actually that tense. I remember doing it. It's got more tense since. There's been more conflict.
It did get booed when they came out on the steps of St Paul's, though.
Yeah, but I think it's got worse over the last couple of years. And I think that's what they're aware of, and they just want to just take the sting out of it, and that's what I assume is Harry's aim in all this, but I think that Buckingham Palace should be a little bit nervous about what you say. Yes, it doesn't have a game plan. I think they need to be nervous about fully. If you build a bridge, with someone, it's great, but you've got to be careful who comes over it. And I think that's what the royal family have got to be careful.
Although I'm not sure that keeping them at arm's length has really paid off for them.
And there's also the interesting question, which is I express cynically, but also true. Is this going to sell more jam for Meghan?
Yeah.
If they reconcile, if their relationship with the royal family becomes one more of warmth, I think it can only do Meghan's reputation good in the States. And I think it would help her expand brand Meghan, which is what she wants to do.
Because she's always been seen as this, antagonistic, causing lots of troubles in the royal family. If suddenly it's happy families again, she doesn't have that role. She needs to have positive press. She needs to have people in America liking her rather than believing that she's the kind of problem in the family. So yeah.
And for both of them, it does work in their favour in that regard. But I think to talk about happy families is probably an almighty leap, where we're just making very tentative tiptoe steps at the moment.
So tiptoe steps between Harry and his father for potential happy families there. But where was Team William at this meeting? They weren't invited. There was no call or, to the press office, as they had with the King, to come to this meeting. There was no separate meeting with Team William. Why hasn't Harry reached out to William in the way that he's reached out to his father?
I'm supremely unconcerned about this. I think it's the natural thing to do, just to have a meeting with the big boss, with the big, the main household. As soon as you expanding it to a meeting with William, it becomes a huge different thing, much more unwieldy, much more difficult, much more unpredictable. Start with the small steps. Start with the meeting with the Buckingham Palace official. And see how it goes from there. So I think that's how I would have played it. I think they've done absolutely the right thing.
They might want to make sure there's no dog bowls lying on the floor if there's ever to be a meeting again between Harry and William. But I agree. I mean, King Charles has always made it clear that the door's open to Harry, his darling boy. And, that father and son bond is unbreakable. No matter what happens, no matter what stones are thrown, he has always wanted some kind of reconciliation. It's brought huge sadness. And he's got 2 grandchildren living in California that he barely knows.
William's got a niece and a nephew living in California. That he would be a wonderful uncle to those children. They were such close brothers. I mean, William has done so much for Harry, like little kind gestures, pulling out the royal procession, if you remember the Commonwealth Day, agreeing to wear a suit with Harry at the Prince Philip's funeral. He invited Harry and Meghan to come and see the flowers after Queen Elizabeth died down at Windsor. He's constantly has actually done quite a lot that he hasn't had credit for. I don't think that, the spare can't clear the heir without talking to the heir. And I think that maybe after anything comes with the King, that's got to be the next step.
Yes. And but I think certainly the first step is with his father. Okay. We're still some way off those talks with his brother, because the hurt, those wounds run extraordinarily deep.
Yeah.
Okay. Mentioned about Meghan. Is it helpful that Harry has suggested that he can't come to the UK without Meghan because he doesn't feel it's safe to bring his family over here? Would that help massage talks with the King or William, knowing that Meghan didn't turn up?
I'm not sure about that, because I think, however difficult Meghan has been, I don't think she was the main cause of Harry's rift with his family. I think that goes back a lot further and a lot deeper. And secondly, I think Meghan is perfectly capable of behaving well if she thinks it's the right thing to do and if she thinks it's in her interests. So she could come over and it could all be sweetless and light, as long as the ground is prepared beforehand.
If you think back to the Sandringham summit when the Megxit agreement was being reached, initially Meghan was supposed to be dialing in from California for that meeting, but then that disappeared, and it very much was Harry there on his own in the meeting with the royal family and the royal household, and they were keen to keep Meghan at a distance from that. But the representatives there, Meredith Maines and Liam Maguire, Harry and Meghan's UK-based PR guy, are both representing both of them, the Sussexes, not just Harry in this. But I think that first meeting has to be between Harry and his father, and then we'll see. But as you've said, Harry said numerous times, because he's lost this security case, it's not safe for him to bring Meghan and the children back. I can't see the King getting on a plane and heading to California.
Okay. I just feel it removes an obstacle. If I'm being a little bit contrary here, it kind of removes a problem. That's one less thing that they can talk through in the details.